What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Captain Deadwake here, your blue-collar captain, for part 2 of the Hermes review as promised. Now, I've been using this ship almost exclusively since 4.6 dropped, and this is the original Hermes that I pulled that you guys saw that first review video on. I have not claimed it since, because I wanted y'all to see just how much I've used this ship, that it is in this crazy, worn and weathered condition from all my time hauling cargo, getting into combat, going down to planets and moons to mine with the Geo and the Rock. It has been an adventure, dude. So here we are in the third-person view, so I can give you guys a better overall look at the Hermes and how worn it is from just being out and about. It's also got this sort of rave light show going on in that cockpit window, which is hilarious. Not to mention, those glass is so fogged up from the outside that I just desperately want to take some Windex and a microfiber towel to that thing. I mean, seriously, for the ships being this worn, can we get a little, like, power wash equipment or something? I mean, maybe that'll come at some point with, like, repair and all, but hot damn, dude, she's a hot mess. She's a hot mess. It's like having a boat that's been out so long that you got, like, barnacle all over it and you haven't taken the time to chisel that crap off. Aside from having probably the dirtiest Hermes in the game right now, I've also got the one that, regardless of what I do, the shields just don't work. And yes, guys, I have tried everything. If there's anything you might have captured from my videos, especially my guides, I know a thing or two about workarounds. I've tried just turning them on and off again. I've tried full ship power and recycle. I've tried repairing. I've tried nav switches. I've tried F8 power pip resets in both SCM and nav mode. I've manually stripped the shields off and put different ones on. I have done everything from the engineering terminal. I have done everything south of claiming the ship. And that is mostly because I didn't want the new paint. I wanted you guys to be able to see, for this part 2 review, my weather-worn and beat-up Hermes that I have endearingly enjoyed. I mean, I've even ripped an engine nacelle off that I've had to repair. My port nacelle got ripped off by a station. I've belly flopped a station turret, didn't get a crime stat, got lucky. We've been in combat for like recovery missions for this Alliance 8 event, supporting our team. I've had my boy Keds in the turret with the breaknecks on there while I was running Deadbolt 4s and we were mowing things down together. That will factor into some of my criticisms having to do with the co-pilot seat. But yeah, right now we've got 4 breaknecks on this thing, which is insane. Even with no shields, like shields broken, I got pulled out of Quantum by a single player and a Mantis. Maybe they were like messing around, trying to figure out how to do it. Well, they messed up, pulling me out of Quantum. Let's just say that Mantis wasn't around very long. The bigger sister Hermes had no problem flipping around and mowing down that Mantis with these breaknecks. This ship is a really good all-arounder. For getting into combat, for doing the cargo missions, for taking it down to planets to do your rock and ATLS mining. I did have a funny issue where my rock started to glitch through my floor, and in hopes of not purpling my ship, I went ahead and just I left it on one of the moons in Pyro. I believe that was Vatra. And yeah, that rock just was kind of done. So through here, you can see I still got my ATLS Geo. I've got my Orgmate Smeeg's ATLS Geo here as well, and our store all crates. So for this review, I want to keep this quick and concise. I'm going to go ahead and give you my pros, my cons, and then maybe a little note to the community on the Hermes. So on the pros side of things, like I said, it's an incredible multi-role vessel. Going out and, you know, getting components off of ships, playing a little bit of that salvage and recovery gameplay, maybe storing other vehicles you might use as well. I know that some people are really upset they can't get the Nursa through the door. Not every ship is meant to be a medical respawn point. That's why we have the Apollo series. But you can comfortably fit many vehicles, including your ATLSs, your rocks, minus the DS, to go out mining, doing that ground resource gathering. You can handle your own in combat with this thing. 4 size 2 shields, bubble shield, which we'll get to that with the cons part of the list. You can go the distance with the Hermes with your rather sizable 4.65 SCU of quantum fuel, which is awesome. And I got an XL1 on this thing, so we were tearing around all 3 systems with no problem. I think the ship generally has a really good, clean design to it. This space is nice and open. I pretty much always have these rails retracted because it's kind of annoying to move around or bump into if it's kind of just out here. So if you don't know, by some chance, you know, you can actually just send those into the floor. That way you just have this nice big open space to run around. It's really easy to get to the pilot seat, the co-pilot seat. All your components for the most part are right here in this engineering section, right by your terminal, which is super easy to use. And then your shields, of course, are back here where your weapons racks are. I wouldn't mind maybe a small, like, half rack up front. That wouldn't be bad, because, like, let's say we have a repair scenario and I don't have a repair tool on me. It's probably good to keep that multi-tool on you if you have a tractor rifle, but that's kind of your personal gear setup. But let's say you got to run back here all the way to grab a repair rifle and then run all the way back to the components. You know, that's a bit of on-foot time that probably could be sped up if they gave us maybe a small rack, like a twofer. You know, some of the ships only have the little 2 slots up by the pilot seat or in that general vicinity would be nice, whereas you have these two that are really good in their positioning for doing a lot of cargo stuff or responding to threats, or even, you know, taking care of your shields that are tucked up back here. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't really consider that a con or a pro, but maybe just a design note for the devs as a way to be able to react to these sorts of things. Granted, you do have your storage right here, so if you're smart, you're going to keep a rifle like I started doing in your actual storage, so you can pop out of your seat, grab it from your storage, and then boom, you're right here. So the argument could be made that another weapons rack would be redundant or unnecessary. I do see that, but hey, I mean, look at this little space, like right here, you know, something like that, little something right here, you know. What is this even? Is this a fabricator? No, it's a fire extinguisher slot, which doesn't have a fire extinguisher. Weird. Somebody took my fire extinguisher. What? On top of the great design layout, loving the open cockpit view of the Hermes on the RSI side, especially being a Connie main for so many years. And you can easily imagine just like superimposing that glass section on the Hermes onto a Connie. I'm pretty sure that's what our Mark II Connies, or maybe our Gold Pass Connies, will get, is this forward glass section, and man, will we all be so happy when that happens. I know a lot of you are probably just nodding along with me with that. For its size, it's actually really good at its handling, its maneuverability, its pitch, row, yaw. I mean, it slows down like a total brick. You'd think you might be in a Caterpillar or something, but it is comparable to a lot of those larger ships. So, you know, being able to flip around, use your main thrusters to do a flip and burn slowdown is really smart. Always kind of know your weight. This thing does a really good sort of belly flop landing into atmosphere, you know, pulling back and catching that aero resistance to slow down as well, at least if you've got a good atmosphere. So, I mean, again, for the ship it is, for its size, for its intended purpose, having a 1200 meters per second forward nav speed is insane. And generally, the combat maneuverability for its size is fantastic. I would put this thing up against a Connie. Probably still gonna lose because Connie's weapons are just nasty. Plus, quadrant shields. I'm gonna get to that in the cons. But all in all, I would absolutely recommend the Hermes. It is not perfect though. So, if you're a little sensitive about ship criticisms, you might wanna go to your safe space for this part, because we're about to get real. My wonderful devs at CIG, I gotta ask you guys, why with the bubble shields on a large cargo hauling vessel and the Asgard dropship? Let's throw the Retaliator in there as well. Why, guys? Why? Especially in the case of the Asgard and the Hermes. There is no reason I can think of as to giving it size 2 bubble shield. Please make that make sense to me. Like, I love this ship. This is one thing, though, that my viewers have heard me bitch about a lot. In these damn bubble shields, man. All I'm asking for is one parapet. I can make the argument for the Asgard dropship and for this Hermes that they should have 2. They have far less firepower, both ships, than the Corsair or the Connie that have 1. And they have their task of being a blockade runner here, of being able to push through heavy, crazy scenarios, and the Asgard being a dropship, going into heavy fire to drop your people off and get them out. Not to mention, with engineering implemented, ballistics pass through, the way energy weapons just melt shields. Why don't we have at least 1 quadrant shield on our Hermes, Asgard, Retaliator? There might be a few others that deserve reconsidering. Please, guys, just think about it. That's all I ask. Community, make your voices heard. I don't feel like it's asking too much. Especially, you guys classified this as a blockade running cargo ship that can get into the crazy fray. You're not doing that with a size 2 bubble shield. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll get off that soapbox. Love the ship. Love it. Hate that. The other smaller issue that probably wasn't intended, I'm sure this is going to be fixed, is that your co-pilot seat basically hijacks like 70% of your ship operation from your power, your lights, like your landing gear. And I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be able to activate your tractor beam from your co-pilot seat. You can't. In fact, I'll get up and I'll show you that. So in your co-pilot seat, a lot of you know as well, you can fly the ship, which I also don't think you're supposed to be able to do, which I can demonstrate all this right now. We can actually take off and fly the ship from the co-pilot side. The only other ship I think I know of that can do that is the Banu Defender. There might be another one. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. And your turret is your breakneck Gatling, which makes sense as the co-pilot. And man, this thing is sweet. You know, putting a good ballistics build on this, since it can rapidly move around to help fight, makes this thing a monster and might actually make it stand up against Akani in a fight better than you think. Future video coming out featuring the Taurus versus the Hermes. However, when you go into your remote turret, you should be able to inner thought right click to see if there's extra selections, and there's not. There's just the one remote turret option. So I know that in the video, they could have misspoke, which is totally fine, but they said that the co-pilot should be able to have access to that turret. So the tractor beam, I should be more specific on. So yeah, I guess we'll see if that happens. The other thing that's interesting, you guys might have figured out, is let's say you're flying and you're trying to run away from an enemy. Well, you currently, maybe because of the weird shared permissions between the seats, you can go into your turret from the pilot seat and actually shoot. So if you're flying away, you know, trying to get away, and you've got somebody on your rear, or you've just got an annoying little light fighter that you can't match the roll or rate return, you can hop into this size 4 turret and do some damage. Again, this might not be intended gameplay because of the way the pilot co-pilot seats seem to be sharing permissions. So that might not stick around. I wouldn't get too attached to it. It'd be wicked if it does. I think it's cool to give cargo pilots a way to defend ourselves a little bit more when we're being hammered down on by other players or NPCs. But yeah, I don't know if that's sticking around. Sticking to our main quarters here, I will say I am pretty disappointed with the amount of storage in these. So it does not take much to fill this up. I can pretty much only fit one full suit. Like, I can't put a medium set of armor plus this Novikov armor in here. It'll fill it up. The SRV, as an example, has a 1.2 SCU storage container, which is larger than port and starboard in the Hermes combined. So while this is still very usable, and you can, you know, definitely do what I do with bringing some extra store crates on board, I do wish we had at least double the storage here, like around 900 to a full SCU of storage, because these are both pretty limited. Look at this. With just this little bit of stuff with armor and med guns and such, we're at almost 60% of this storage capacity. That's a little disappointing. I was hoping for a little bit more there. And the final big critique, guys, we got to talk about the tractor beam. My honest opinion, man, just being straight up with you, it's a gimmick. There is no incentive to use it over your good old reliable tractor rifle, man. This tractor rifle, and even your handheld multi-tool in some cases, are still far more reliable and fast and usable than these ship's tractor beams. This rifle can rotate 16, 24, 32 SCU boxes of the heaviest materials with no problem. Sure, there's a little inertial drift, but no problem. This tractor beam, and the tractor beam on the Cat, and the tractor beam on the Hull C, they can't rotate boxes for shit. And honestly, I have used this tractor beam like twice in my entire time using the Hermes just to give it a chance. So I think it does have a role if you got a buddy on board that will just run the station and sort of organize stuff in the cargo bay while you're outside actually doing stuff. Because if we actually look at this real quick, we look at its range, it has some serious limitations. So, and also not being able to rotate a 32 when you're trying to pull the box in makes it really tough, because as this is pulling back, that box is likely going to get stuck on that door and detach from your tractor beam, and you're going to have to grab it with your rifle anyway. So if I end up just going back to my tractor rifle, why am I going to use this? But also, when you're all the way back here, you lose a lot of potential tractor space. You know, I think they should have gone on maybe a bit more of like an extended or like telescoping rail at the end, kind of like the Golem Ox. There are a couple of ships that have fantastic tractor beams. That would be the Nomad, the Golem Ox, the Prowler Utility, the Connie Taurus, the Raft. Those are tractor beams done right. The Zeus, the Hermes, gimmicks, man. Maybe good for organizing inside again if you got a buddy who's gonna stand on the tractor beam turret, or maybe the co-pilot seat if we do get that functionality and mess around with it. But just being real with y'all, I don't use it, man. I use my tractor rifle. It's more reliable, it's faster, it has the range. I can stand here, grab stuff and throw it right in. Honestly, the door size that people complain about has not been a complaint for me. I am a regular industrial main, a cargo hauler. I'm not trying to put a NERSA in every ship I own. You know, throwing a little shade out there, friendly shade, friendly critique. I don't think you need to be able to fit everything in every ship, but that'll get a little bit into my closing thoughts in the video. This door has been fine for any boxes, even the 32s, colossal bombs, vehicles, it's cool. Using the tractor beam for them, not so much. It's just, again, it's a gimmick. There needs to be more thought put into this if the goal is to be grabbing stuff from outside the ship. If this is meant for inside organization help, you know, an extra way to do this, that's fine. I think that that's where it's best suited, is being basically an organizational dolly inside the ship. That's basically all it would be for me. And the last little critique that I have really is not really a serious critique. I think it's just my one-off luck. I had a buddy that threw a boom tube rocket at my ship as it was being stored, and between that and a few other factors, plus early 4.6 patch release stuff, I think that's what maybe broke my shields in the more permanent sense. So my critique is just the broken shields. I haven't been able to fix it or reset it in any way, and I don't know if maybe CIG has a way to do that. The issue council that I made for that will be in the video description, guys. So if anybody is watching from CIG and you just want to check it out, see my evidence, see what's going on, or take this video as a reference, contact me as well. Let me know. It's really hard, I think, to replicate that. I haven't heard anybody else having that problem with the Hermes, so I do think it's a one-off. That's why I say it's not like a real critique. But I have been running around the past week and a half with no shields, mostly because I'm stubborn and I wanted to be able to do this video with this used Hermes, you know, just to show y'all. So all that aside, guys, a quick note to the community to wrap up this video and to give you some perspective. Just coming from me, you can disagree with me, it's totally fine, but I feel like this needs to be said because there always seems to be people complaining about something when it comes to these ships when they come out. Some of it's warranted for sure. Some of it is just entitlement or being overly nitpicky, and if you're getting a little red in the face, it's probably because you're the problem. This is a large cargo ship. It's designed for a specific role within this game. Sure, myself, you guys, and many others will figure out creative ways to use this ship for mining adventures, for ship salvage and components, whatever you can think of. But complaining that the door is too small because you can't fit your medical respawn vehicle like your Nurser or something inside so you can go run bunkers, take a Cuddy Red, dude. Take an Apollo. Throw an 8 SKU on an Apollo. Like, ships have their purpose, and when you're critiquing ships, it's important to keep yourself grounded in functional reality. So you can point out when things are actually not great, like bubble shields, or, you know, the tractor beam not being as useful as it could be. But if you're complaining about it not having big enough guns, or not enough missiles, or it can't fit the vehicle you want, or, you know, or it can't fit your, you know, 10 couches and all your stuff from inside your subscriber flare. I mean, whatever the complaint may be, ship has a purpose, man. If you were to make this ship and any other ship able to do everything, it takes away from the roles of the Apollo or the Cuddy Red or even the C8 medical version. I mean, there's a reason that these ships have their design functions. So I hope that you guys can take that for what it is and appreciate the honest criticism when it comes to this stuff. I would absolutely recommend the ship. Again, if you want to use the Hermes, but you don't really want to, you know, drop the $200+ on this thing as a pledge, you can subscribe for the month and get access to the ship. It's a great way to get a good test drive. It's only like 20 bucks for the Imperator subscription that gets you this ship. And one of the best ways you can decide if a ship's for you is getting your butt in that seat and seeing if it works for you. So my last little bit, because I get asked this quite a bit, like, would you get this versus the Connie or versus the Asgard or the Corsair? I still think that the Connie and Corsair are like the kings of daily driving because of their incredibly high damage output, their quadrant shields, and their decent carrying capacity for cargo, especially the Taurus also having that tractor beam. I think that those two are still at the top. Now, I would probably take the Hermes over an Asgard for design reasons, for the weapon size, for just the general layout of the ship. I do like the Hermes more, though the Asgard's a fantastic ship. I don't really have any qualms with the Asgard itself. I just think it also needs the same bump up in shield size that this ship does. So I think that's really personal preference. I can totally live on this ship. I mean, when the Ironclad comes out, I'm not really going to touch any ships ever again. I'm joking, kind of, not really. But I absolutely love this ship. I recommend it for everybody. Give it a try. See what you think if you're into this kind of gameplay as well. If you're a combat person, a bunker person or something, yeah, why? You don't need to mess with the Hermes. You got plenty of other ship options you can have. Maybe friends that have them. Try them out. See what you think. Let me know what you guys think of this review down below. I really appreciate all the comments and feedback on the first review. I hope this being a more transparent, honest approach to this ship, having used it so much, will clear up a lot of things for you guys. I'm always going to give it straight to you here on this channel, and I hope that is appreciated. Until next time, guys, have fun out the verse, and I will catch you later.